Hey fellow woodcutters, I'm going to do an overview video of this house build right here. This is one of two houses that's going on this lot. I'm going to start from the very beginning of property clearing all the way through planning and then framing, finish, paint, the whole works. So where the whole thing really starts is you want to be out on the field with a compass and a map, a property map, and start doing all your layout. Figuring out where the septic is, where the septic could go, where the well's going to be, how the roads are going to work, access, and then clearing brush. Once a lot of the brush is cleared, then you're going to start pulling out the stumps. This is a friend of mine with an old 1950s grader giving me a hand, helping yank out these stumps and clear the property. Once all this stuff is out, then you can get a much better feel for the light, for the access, the overall feeling of the property. So once we were done with pulling all of these stumps out, there it goes, we started pulling all of the logs out, and I ended up bringing these over to a friend's house to mill them into lumber that I ended up using to finish the house with. After that was all done and everything was figured out, we had a good layout, started digging the foundation with the big guns, this heavy equipment here, and digging out the basement for this house as well. We'll go up in the drone, you kind of get a feeling for where the basement is compared to the main level. Had both the big excavator pulling dirt out and also that cat right there. Trying to situate the whole house with the nicest views, best access, and also a lot of clear space around the house. Once the footings are all dug, then they're framed up. And then once all the stem walls are framed, then the steel goes in before the concrete comes. After that, then the pump trucks come out. Concrete trucks come out and they pump into those stem walls and they fill them up with concrete. They use a stinger to vibrate that concrete down. And then after it's all knocked down, then those form boards all come off after they're finished. You could also see the foundation bolts right there. So those bolts sticking up through the stem wall is where the whole house is bolted to. After the foundation boards come off, then the slabs get poured a few days later. That was a garage slab. And this right here that he's finishing is a basement slab. So you can see how beautiful it came out. Really gifted craftsman doing the foundation here. And that's the front step. Once the foundation is all done, start framing. Framing on the basement level. Framing from the ground up, not tipping up walls because there are so many steps in those stem walls. And you can see it's all 2x6 framing. And then the subfloor goes on, and that gives you your flat pad to build the house on. Once that flat pad's all done, then you start doing all your layout with 2x6 framing. Tip those walls up, put them back in place, and there's a garage at the bottom of the screen, and then the main living room. This is a master right here, framed up flat, and then that wall is tipped up into place with those 6 windows looking out. A little drone footage looking back in through that window there. A lot of infrastructure, conduit for electrical, underground. Wire's not pulled yet, but it will be pulled soon. And then once that's all in place, then the truss delivery comes. And this is called a rooftop truss delivery, where they actually load the trusses onto the roof. And then you start tipping them up and putting them in place. Everything is all done on a set of plans. Really good plans lead to good projects. So a lot of time spent in good planning, and that's what really makes the project go smoothly. Then the deck's starting to go in. So those are the posts and beams for the back deck. A slider into the great room right there. Unexpected snowstorm hit us, kind of set us back a week. Luckily the whole subfloor was painted, so there wasn't that much warping on there, but it was kind of hard to see it covered in snow. Then timber framing out the front deck and the back deck, really a nice entryway. And then once that's all done, then the shear wall starts to go up. That gives it a lot of lateral strength. That's oriented strand board. It gets nailed to the studs and set patterns, and then gives it a lot of stability. From the shear wall all going up, you go to the sheeting on the roof on top of the trusses. That's a product as well that's insulative, so it really helps keep the heat in during the winter and the heat out during the summertime. And then once it's all sheeted on the roof and shear wall, then the house gets wrapped with that white wrap, and then the roof with that ice guard before the roofing goes on. It's a 50-year comp, stacking the roof right here. And also all the penetrations for plumbing and electrical and solar are all done before the roof goes on. After that, windows go in, and this is just as the windows are starting to go in, and the floor vents with flashing above them, and this is starting to button it up. This is under eaves right there that need to be sealed in with hardy plank. We couldn't actually find the product, so I ended up manufacturing it on the CNC at the high school wood shop. It needed all of those vent holes in it, and I was drilling those holes. Once that hardy plank starts going up, it's the siding here. It's a non-flammable material. It's a concrete product. You have gaps in it right there, and you butt it up to the trim, and then you side the whole house. All of the hose bibs and vents going out, there's a dryer vent right there. All that stuff should be done before you start to side. Then the HVAC system went in, and then after that, all those logs went over to a buddy's house right here, and this is my friend and I milling out all the lumber with enough time, hopefully, to let it dry before you have to do the finished trim with it. This is a radial sawmill right here, so it's really productive. You could actually cut both ways, so you're cutting vertically and then horizontally on the back cuts. So this worked out really well, and actually my favorite part of the house to this day is the blue stained pine that trims it all out, including the sills. Back to the house, and this is the sewage plumbing going in and the HVAC vent to the range, all underneath in the crawl space. A lot of infrastructure that needs to get done in between the period of the end of framing and the beginning of sheetrock. So here's the rough plumbing going in. Those are the shower drains. Those are the pans and the drains going down. There's all of the ductwork up in the attics and the ducts, vents. Another snowstorm as we're finishing up the siding concurrently as both the electrician and the plumber are working on the rough ends. So here's a hot water heater for the plumber, and then electrical's going in also at the same time. There are the outlets. All of that's getting pulled before we insulate and sheetrock. Another important aspect is houses today need to have fire sprinklers, so that was the sprinkler system going in, and then the wire is starting to come down from the main panel as well. After all that roughing is all finished, then the next step is insulation, and I had that garage, both the walls and the lid insulated. And then once all the insulation is in, next is sheetrock. So this is a kind of a rooftop delivery. That fork unloads the sheetrock, puts it on the deck, so you don't really have to lift it. You just have to kind of roll it in, and then they start hanging sheetrock. Also, these guys could really go fast and work hard. There's a lot of tricks to every trade. Here he is cutting out electrical outlets, running the boards horizontally. The way you set these boards up really helps prevent cracks in the future. Once all the sheetrock's up, then you start putting on your corner beads, start taping all of the seams. They need quite a few coats of tape before you could texture. If you cut any corners here, this is where you start to see cracks, maybe not right away, but not long down the line. This is that pine that we milled out. You can see the blue streaking. So I'm trying to figure out what that pine's going to look like, what colors the interior should have to match that pine blue streaked. There's the pine drying outside, and then here we are texturing. So this guy comes in and shoots the whole house in a kind of weird light there, but you could see that there are no tape seams visible anymore. Electrical's coming in. This is a pump house that is going to service both the house right here and the house above. Garage doors coming in and installed. That's one of the last things, but it's nice to be able to lock it up. Solar as well. Solar is mandated now in California. So this is the solar install, and there's the solar coming in through the roof, through the wall, down to the electrical panel, and there's a solar control panel. There's also a 50 amp fuse out there for an electric car plug, which is now required in the county codes. After that, then it comes to exterior doors and then interior doors and paint. So you can see there's that color blue that we ended up picking to match the pine trim. Trying to do a different color ceiling than the walls on the interior, trying to get the colors just right, and then also starting to prep for the paint on the outside. the power company showed up. They ended up having to put a new transformer in. So this is a larger transformer going in, and then that's going to run down to that pump house, to a panel at the pump house, and then from that panel at the pump house to the other part of the house. And then once the electrical was all set, then worked on painting on the exterior and interior simultaneously. Kind of that natural color there. This is kind of a California bungalow craftsman style home, with the front porch and the big posts and kind of the earth colors, the black roof and the white trim. And then additionally, not only the exterior paint, but the interior paint as well. There's a thermostat for the HVAC guy. It's kind of that, gray blue color accent wall. And then started picking out tiles and working on tiles. So these are the tiles with the mosaic pebble floor inside the showers. And then also getting cabinets to do the install of the cabinets. A lot of finish, kind of takes a long time. Finish electrical, including the wall switches in place to go over it. And then the finished plumbing are the actual handles and shower heads and toilets themselves all start to go in. And then that only goes in after the tile. Finished electrical will include all of the fixtures. You can see starting to trim out the windows with that pine, with the accent wall, starting to build out the closets and put in the closet doors as well and all the interior doors. All of the sills are that bark beetle pine. Cabinets are going in, electrical finish, that's the downdraft vent for the range. Countertops are going in. Flooring is already in, or flooring's going in as well. Decking went down, handrails on the outside of the deck, and then there's a set of stairs as well that go down from the deck. Vanity sinks are going in, cabinets inside the garage as well, and then the cabinet door. So that's kind of the finish of the house right there. It's a lot of work, really enjoyable, and this is kind of the walkthrough of the finished product. There are the floors, the appliances are in, the countertops, the backsplash are the subway style gray tiles to kind of match that gray island. And then kind of a really light blue wall right here to match the blue pine. Here we are walking down the hallway. It's all trimmed out with that blue pine, laundry closet, interior doors, thermostat, vanity, medicine cabinet, toilets, fixtures are all installed. I do have a little more comprehensive videos of this whole build. If you want to watch those, there's a playlist on my channel. This is the master bedroom right here, kind of more of a green tint with a white ceiling. Those are sprinklers, lights, fan, accent wall, a little darker green, and then also the low voltage as well for television and alarm systems. And you could kind of see how that pine tied it all together. Coming back out, looking out those main windows, out to the deck, and then the blue wall, and trimmed out with the pine. Well, thank you for watching. Any questions, please put them in the comments below. And check out my channel if you want to see more videos on this whole build.